Yeah, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Catalyst loves dark. They love the rarely done, the kind of shows that can push the envelope. Now, we've seen the comedy, we've seen the musicals. This next preview, this is a retrospective from a show that they did of Martin McDonagh's dark comedy, and yes, it is a comedy, The Pillowman. Did anybody see that one? That is a challenging show. It is dark, it is dystopian, and it is hilarious. The Pillowman tells the tale of Katorian, a fiction writer living in a police state, who is interrogated about the gruesome content of his short stories and their similarities to a number of bizarre child murders occurring in his town. Child murders comedy. Hey, good times. Remembering Catalyst's 2022 production of the acclaimed McDonagh classic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the stage doing a monologue from Pillowman, Taylor Cox. Yeah!
Once upon a time, there was a little boy, upon whom his mother and father showered nothing but love, kindness, warmth, all that stuff. He had his own little room in a big house in the middle of a pretty forest. He wanted for nothing. All the toys in the world were his. All the paints, all the books, paper, pens. All the seeds of creativity were implanted in him from an early age, and it was writing that became his first love. Short stories, fairy tales, little novels, all happy, colorful little things about bears and piglets and angels and so forth. And some of them were good. Some of them were very good. His parents' experiment had worked. The first part of his parents' experiment had worked. It was the night of his 7th birthday that the nightmares first started. The room next door to his own room had always been kept bolted and padlocked for reasons the boy was never quite sure of, but never quite questioned, until the low whirring of drills, scritchy scratch, bolts being tightened, the dull fizz of unknown things electrical, and the muffled screams of a small, gagged child began to echo through its thick brick walls on a nightly basis. "What were all those noises last night, Mama?" he'd ask after each long, sleepless night, to which his mother would ever reply, "Oh, little cat, that's just your wonderful but overactive imagination playing tricks on you." "Oh, do all little boys my age hear such sounds of abomination nightly?" "No, my darling. Only the extraordinarily talented ones." "Oh. Cool." And that was that. And the boy kept on writing, and his parents kept encouraging him with the utmost love. But the sounds of the words and the streams kept going on. And his stories got darker and darker and darker. They got better and better due to all the love and encouragement, as is often the case. But they got darker and darker due to the constant sound of child torture, as is also often the case. It was the day of his 14th birthday, a day when he was waiting to hear the results of a short story competition he was shortlisted for, that a note slipped out from underneath the door of the locked room. A note which read, "They have loved you and tortured me for 7 straight years for no reason other than as an artistic experiment." An artistic experiment which has worked. You don't write about little green pigs anymore, do you? The note was signed, "Your brother," and the note was written in blood. He asked through the door to find his parents. smiling, alone. His father doing some drill noises. His mother doing the muffled screams of a gagged child. They had a little pot of pig's blood between them. And his father told him to look at the other side of the blood-written note. The little boy did. And found out that he'd won the $50 first prize for the short story competition. They all laughed. The second part of his parents' experiment was complete. They moved house soon after that, and the nightmare sounds had ended, but his story stayed strange and twisted, but good. And he was able to thank his parents for the weirdness they put him through. Years later, on the day that his first book was being published, he decided to revisit his childhood home for the first time since he'd left. He idled around his old bedroom, with all the toys and paints still littered there. Then he went into the room beside him that still had all the old dusty drills and padlocks and electrical cord lying around. And he smiled. The insanity of the very idea of it all. But he lost his smile when he came across the corpse of a 14-year-old boy that had been left there to rot. Barely a bone of which wasn't broken or burned, in whose hand there lay a story. A story that could only have been written under the most sickening of circumstances. And it was the sweetest, gentlest thing that he'd ever come across. It was even worse. It was better than anything he himself had ever written. Or ever would. So, he burned that story. And he covered his brother back up, and he never mentioned a word of what he had seen to anybody. Not to his parents, not to his publishers, not to anybody. The final part of his parents' experiment was over. Couturian's story, the writer and the writer's brother, ended there in fashionably downbeat mode, without touching upon the equally downbeat but somewhat more self-incriminating details of the truer story. That after he'd read the blood-written note and broken into the next door room, it was his brother that he found there, alive as such, but brain damage beyond repair. And that night, while his parents were sleeping, the 14-year-old birthday boy held a pillow over his father's head for a while. And after waiting just a moment to let her see her dead blue husband, he held a pillow over his mother's head for a little while too.
Taylor Cox, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give you a little insight to the backstage reality that I just experienced. Taylor doing a monologue there. He had the notes here on the music stand. The whole page was highlighted with yellow because it's a monologue. I love that. It's like, read this whole page. I thought that's a pro move right there. That's a pro move right there. Highlight the page. Oh, hey, ladies and gentlemen, from Reach Right Down a moment ago, I do want to mention again Ginger Stoltz on the piano, Lisa Marie Kincaid on drums, bringing live music to the show.